The billionaire mindset. Here's what most people get wrong about billionaires. They assume the mindset came after the money, that once you're rich enough, thinking big just happens automatically. It's the opposite. The mindset came first, for years, often decades, before any of it paid off. Elon Musk was reinvesting his own savings into companies people openly mocked. Warren Buffett was living in the same modest house, reading annual reports for fun, decades before billionaire was ever attached to his name. Bill Gates was obsessively coding through the night as a teenager, long before Microsoft existed. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company and rebuilt his entire philosophy from scratch before ever returning to save it. So today we're not talking about net worth. We're talking about the actual thinking patterns behind four of the most consequential people in modern business and what you can actually borrow from each one starting today. Elon Musk. Rebuild the problem from zero. Musk is famous for a specific way of thinking called first principles reasoning. Instead of accepting that's just how it's done, he breaks a problem down to its most basic physical truths and rebuilds a solution from scratch. When people said rockets were expensive because that's simply the cost of rockets, he asked a different question. What are the raw materials actually worth, and why is the finished product price so far above that? That single question is a huge part of how a reusable rocket company became possible at all. You don't need a rocket company to use this. Next time you assume something is just how it works, ask what's actually true underneath that assumption, and whether the assumption is even correct. Warren Buffett. Get rich slowly, on purpose. Buffett's entire philosophy runs against almost everything social media tells you about wealth. No hype, no urgency, no chasing trends. He stays inside what he calls his circle of competence, investing only in businesses he genuinely understands, and he's famous for holding investments for decades instead of trading in and out chasing quick wins. The mindset underneath that isn't really about stocks. It's patience as a competitive advantage. Most people can't wait, so the ones who can quietly compound an edge that nobody else is willing to sit still long enough to build. Bill Gates. Never stop being the student. Even after building one of the largest companies in the world, Gates has kept a well-known habit, reading roughly 50 books a year and setting aside dedicated stretches of time purely to think and learn away from daily operations. Long after he had every reason to assume he already knew enough, he kept treating himself like someone who didn't. That's the actual pattern worth borrowing, not the specific number of books, but the refusal to let past success become a reason to stop learning. The moment you assume you've arrived is usually the moment you stop growing. Steve Jobs. The power of saying no. Jobs was famous for radical simplicity, trimming Apple's product lineup down to a handful of items when he returned to the company, cutting projects, cutting features, cutting anything that diluted focus. His philosophy was that innovation isn't really about saying yes to 1,000 good ideas. It's about saying no to nearly all of them so the few that remain can get the attention they actually need. Most people's plans fail from doing too much, not too little. Jobs' mindset was a constant, deliberate act of subtraction, protecting focus like it was the scarcest resource in the company because it was. Four completely different people, four completely different industries, but underneath all of it, the same underlying pattern. Think from first principles instead of accepting assumptions. Be patient enough to let advantages compound. Stay a student no matter how much you've already achieved, and protect your focus by saying no more often than you say yes. None of that requires $1 billion to start practicing. It just requires deciding today which one of these four you're going to actually apply, not admire, apply. If one of these hit you differently than the others, tell me which one in the comments. Please like this video and subscribe. If this helped you, I break down ideas like this every week. I'll see you in the next one.